The invitation to peace. The great hall of the Galactic Council was filled with light, its crystal walls glowing with a strange energy. Hundreds of species gathered, their voices echoing across the chamber. Most had come to witness something they thought would be simple. Humanity had been called, and surely they would obey. The wars between humanity and the Council had lasted for years, many planets burned, many fleets destroyed. But at last, the Council believed the humans were ready to surrender. After all, every other species before them had done the same. The Council had crushed empires, broken kings, and silenced rebels. Humanity would be no different, or so they thought. At the center of the chamber stood the Council throne, a ring of tall figures in shining robes, their eyes glowing with arrogance. The High Speaker raised his hand and declared, "Today, we welcome the humans to join peace under the Council law." His voice was calm, yet it carried a sharp edge, as if no refusal was possible. The doors opened, and silence spread across the hall. The human delegation walked in, only 5 of them. No guards, no display of power, just 5 quiet figures in dark uniforms, their steps slow, their faces unreadable. Many aliens leaned forward, whispering. Among themselves, some laughed softly. Only 5, they send so few they are afraid. But the whispers stopped when the humans reached the center. Their leader, a tall man with calm eyes, looked up at the Council, his silence heavy. It was not the silence of fear, it was the silence of judgment. The High Speaker smiled. "Humans, you have fought well, but the war is over. You are strong, yes, but strength without order is nothing. Sign the treaty, accept our rule, and you may have peace." The words floated across the chamber, smooth and practiced. The human leader remained still, then spoke, his voice low but strong. "We did not come here to beg for peace. We came to listen and to choose, but we will not kneel." The hall trembled with sudden noise, gasps, shouts, alien voices rising in disbelief. Some council members banged their staffs against the floor. Others shouted warnings. Never had a species dared to speak this way inside the council chamber. The High Speaker narrowed his eyes. "You refuse peace. You refuse order. Do you not understand what this means? Your kind cannot survive against us forever." The human leader turned his head slightly, his eyes moving across the hall. "Peace is not what you offer chains, you call it order, but it is control, and humanity will never accept chains." Every word hit the chamber like a hammer. Even the walls seemed to hold the echo. Small species who had lived under council rule for centuries felt a strange spark of hope. Others felt only fear. The council members tried to regain control. One elder shouted, "You are reckless. Without us you will be destroyed." No one defies the council and lives. His voice was sharp, but his hands trembled. The human leader answered softly, almost like a whisper. "Then you do not understand us. We have already lived through fire, through war, through darkness. We survived it all. What more can you do to us?" The council chamber grew tense. The High Speaker slammed his staff and declared, "This is madness. The humans will learn respect." But his words sounded weaker than before. The humans stood, silently, not moving, not afraid. Their calmness was more terrifying than any weapon. One alien whispered, "They are not here to ask. They are here to warn." And for the first time in the history of the council, doubt spread among the rulers. They had seen rebellions before. They had crushed many, but this felt different. The humans were not begging for mercy. They were not trembling under the weight of council power. They were standing tall, unbroken. The High Speaker finally spoke again, his voice louder, almost desperate. "You will regret this decision. Humanity will suffer until it begs for our hand." But the human leader only gave a faint smile. "Then watch us," he said, and his words carried across the chamber like thunder. Silence fell once more, the kind of silence that felt heavy and endless. And in that silence, every species present understood something they had never believed possible. Humanity was not afraid. The Council, once certain of its control, now felt the first spark of fear. They had invited humans to sign peace, but instead they had witnessed defiance, a defiance that might one day shatter their throne. And so, the first meeting ended not with peace but with shock. The humans turned and walked out, leaving the council frozen in disbelief, and the galaxy trembled, wondering what would come next. The first shockwave. The echoes of humanity's refusal spread. Faster than any ship could travel, the council chamber had barely emptied when messages began to move through the stars. Every colony, every empire, every hidden station was whispering about the humans. For centuries, the council had ruled by fear. They crushed those who resisted. They silenced those who questioned, and every species learned to obey. But now a new story was being told. A story where one small group of humans stood before the most powerful rulers of the galaxy and said, "No." Inside the private halls of the council, panic mixed with anger. The high speaker paced with his robe dragging across the floor. This cannot be allowed. If their words spread, others will follow. If others follow, the council will weaken. His voice carried rage, but beneath the rage was fear. The elder from the war faction slammed his hand on the table. "They are arrogant. We must destroy them now. Crush their fleets, burn their worlds, show the galaxy what happens when the council is defied." His eyes glowed with fury. But another counselor, older and wiser, shook his head slowly. "You do not understand. If we strike too hard and if they survive, then the legend will grow. Their refusal will turn into a fire, and fire spreads." The debate grew louder, their voices like thunder, rolling across the chamber. Some demanded war, some demanded silence. Some begged for negotiation, but no one could ignore the truth. Humanity had planted doubt in the heart of the galaxy, far across the stars, on hidden outposts and mining colonies. Small species gathered in secret. They spoke quietly, their voices trembling with a strange mix of fear and hope. "If humans can refuse, maybe we can too," they whispered. The humans themselves returned to their fleet. Their ships were simple in design. Not as grand as council warships, but they were alive with determination. The human leader stood before his officers and spoke. "We did not go there to win peace. We went there to show them we are not afraid. Now they know, and now the galaxy knows too." The officers nodded, their faces hard. Each of them carried scars from battles. Each of them had seen friends fall, but none of them carried regret. They knew the risk, yet they believed in the choice. On the council world, the news was impossible to stop. The words of the human leader echoed in every channel. "We will not kneel." Those words became a spark, a chant, a symbol. Merchants in alien markets repeated the phrase. Rebels carved it into walls. Soldiers whispered it before battle drills. The council tried to censor, but the more they tried, the more it spread, and deep inside the council palace, the high speaker realized something terrifying. "We did not just face their armies, we faced their spirit, and spirit cannot be broken by weapons alone," he muttered. The war faction still demanded action. Fleets began to gather, weapons powered, soldiers prepared. They thought to strike quickly before humanity grew stronger, but shadows of doubt fell over them. No one could predict what humans were hiding. For in the council chamber, the humans had given a hint, a dangerous hint. They had spoken of surviving fire and darkness, of strength unseen. What if it was true? What if their strongest weapons had never been revealed? The galaxy buzzed with questions. Rumors spread like storms. Some said humans had ancient war machines buried beneath their oceans. Some said their homeworld hid secrets older than the council itself. Others believed their minds, not their weapons, made them dangerous. One young counselor whispered to himself, "What if they have already won, not by war but by fear?" Meanwhile, in the human fleet, the leader stood before a window of stars. He spoke quietly to his second-in-command. "They will test us, they will try to break us, but every move they make will only show the galaxy who they really are. We will not strike first, but we will be ready." The second-in-command nodded. "And when they strike, the galaxy will see our answer." Back in the council hall, a silent decision was forming. The council could not ignore humanity, but they could not admit weakness either, so they planned in secret a test, a small strike, one that would not be seen as war, but as punishment. They thought it would remind humans of their place, but they did not see how far the shockwave had already traveled in distant corners of the galaxy. Species who had lived in chains for centuries now dreamed of freedom, and in every dream, humanity stood like a torch in the dark. The High Speaker raised his staff one final time that night. His voice filled the chamber. The humans believe they can stand against us. Then let us remind them of our power. Let us prepare a strike. And so the council prepared its secret test, unaware that the spark had already grown into flame, unaware that the galaxy itself was beginning to change, unaware that humanity's refusal was not the end, but only the beginning. Secrets of humanity. The strike from the council came quietly. A fleet of shadow ships sent across the stars. Their mission was simple. Test the humans. Strike at their outpost. See how they respond. No one was supposed to know. No one was supposed to see. The fleet arrived at a small human colony on the edge of known space, a world of stone deserts and wide seas. The colony was young, only a few cities built. The council believed it would fall easily. They thought the humans would break, but when the first strike came, something strange happened. The human defenses came alive with precision. Their ships moved faster than expected. Their weapons hit harder and the enemy fleet began to crumble. The council commanders were stunned. Their weapons are not as advanced as ours, but they fight as if they know every move we make. One officer cried out. The humans moved like they had studied every council tactic, as if they could read their minds. In less than an hour, the mighty council fleet was in ruins. Burning wrecks fell into the seas of the human colony. The survivors retreated in shock. They had come to deliver a warning, but instead they carried back fear. Word of the battle spread faster than the council could hide it. Whispers grew louder. The humans defeated a council fleet without using anything new. What happens if they use the weapons they are hiding? Inside the human command ship, the leader stood before a silent crew. They tested us, he said, his voice calm. But we did not even need our strongest weapons. They still do not understand. The second in command leaned forward. Should we reveal more? He asked. But the leader shook his head. No. The less they know, the greater their fear. Let them wonder. Let them imagine. Back in the council chamber, the elders argued in rage. How could this be? One demanded. How can humans fight like this? Another shouted, their voices cracked with disbelief. The High Speaker sat in silence, his eyes fixed on the reports. At last he whispered, They hold secrets. Secrets we cannot see. This is why they are dangerous. His voice carried a rare weight of fear. Rumors turned into legends. Across the galaxy, species whispered that humanity had ancient machines. Buried under their oceans, others said their DNA carried codes from a forgotten age. Some claimed they had weapons that could tear stars apart. The council tried to silence these stories, but the harder they tried, the faster the rumors grew. And in every corner of the galaxy, oppressed species began to watch humanity with new hope. In a hidden chamber, one council scientist spoke quietly. We have always believed humans are young. But what if they are old, older than we think? What if they carry knowledge we cannot imagine? His words were dismissed, yet the seed of doubt grew. Meanwhile, in the human fleet, the leader gathered his commanders. He spoke softly. The council will not stop. They will strike again, but every strike will reveal more about them and less about us. We are not here to prove strength. We are here to outlast them. One young officer asked, But what if they
unleash their full armies against us? The leader answered with steady eyes. Then we show them something they have never seen.
Something they cannot control. His words hinted at hidden power. The galaxy buzzed with questions. What were the humans hiding? Why did they never show their strongest weapons? Were they protecting themselves, or were they protecting the galaxy from something darker? Inside the council, fear turned to desperation. The war faction demanded an all-out strike, but others resisted. If we push them too far, we may awaken their true strength, one elder warned, his voice trembling. For the first time in history, the council feared not just human weapons, but human silence. The refusal to reveal their full hand was more frightening than any battle won. Across the stars, freedom movements began to rise. Small groups painted human words on walls. "We will not kneel." The phrase became a symbol of defiance. Even in places where council soldiers patrolled with iron fists, the high speaker gathered his closest circle, his voice low. "The humans are not fighting only with ships. They are fighting with fear, with doubt, and with time. If we cannot break them soon, the galaxy itself may turn against us." But even as he spoke, he felt the truth sinking in. Humanity had already changed the galaxy. They had not unleashed their strongest weapons, and yet the council trembled. The humans knew their secret was not just machines or weapons. It was the will to refuse, the will to fight without fear, the will to stand when all others bowed. And as the council planned its next move, the humans prepared in silence, guarding their secrets, knowing that the greatest power was not what they revealed, but what they kept hidden. Rising fear in the council hall was no longer filled with confidence. The tall walls that once echoed with power now carried whispers of fear. The councilors gathered in their circle, but their voices were restless, sharp, and uncertain. The high speaker stood at the center, his robe heavy with silver chains, his face pale with doubt. "The humans defied us, and now they have defeated a fleet without even showing their full strength," he said slowly. "Tell me, who among you believes they are weak?" No one answered. Silence spread across the chamber, silence heavier than war drums. The elder from the war faction finally broke the quiet, his voice fierce. "They are dangerous. We must strike before they grow stronger. Unleash the full fleet, burn their colonies to ash, and end this threat once and for all." His words rang with fury. But another counselor shook her head. "Do you not see? They want us to strike. Every battle makes them stronger. Every defeat we suffer becomes their legend. If we push too far, the galaxy itself may rise with them." The chamber erupted in shouts, arguments clashed like swords. Some demanded destruction, others whispered of negotiation. But beneath every word was the same truth: fear. Far across the stars, species under council rule were listening. Merchants whispered in markets, rebels whispered in caves, even slaves whispered in chains. The humans had stood tall, and now the council trembled. If the council could be shaken, then perhaps freedom was possible. The high speaker tried to calm the storm. "Enough," he shouted, his staff striking the floor. The sound echoed like thunder. "We are the council, we are the order of the galaxy. No human, no species can break us." But his voice cracked, and everyone heard the weakness inside. Meanwhile, in hidden rooms of the council palace, secret meetings took place. Younger counselors spoke in hushed tones. "What if we are wrong about them? What if they carry something ancient, something beyond our knowledge?" One whispered, another answered. "Or perhaps their true power is not in weapons, but in will. No one has ever refused us like this and lived." Their voices trembled. They knew they were speaking dangerous words, words that could cost them their lives if overheard. At the same time, the humans remained quiet. Their fleets moved slowly at the edge of council space. Their weapons stayed hidden. Their silence was like a storm waiting to break. The galaxy watched and wondered, why were the humans so calm? Inside the human flagship, the leader stood before his commanders. "They are afraid," he said softly, "and fear is more powerful than any weapon. We will not strike first. We will let them fear the strike that never comes." His commanders nodded. They understood. Every day of silence was another day the council weakened itself. Another day doubt spread wider. Back in the council, fear began to rot the foundation of their unity. Spies reported unrest in the outer colonies. Whispers of rebellion grew louder. One counselor slammed his fist on the table. "This is the fault of the humans. Their defiance is poison, and it spreads." The high speaker leaned forward, his eyes narrow. "Then perhaps we must do more than fight them. Perhaps we must break them from within, find their weakness, divide them, make them turn against each other." But another elder shook his head. In warning, "Be careful. For the more we try to break them, the stronger they may become. They are not like the others we have ruled." Fear turned to paranoia. The council began to see shadows everywhere. Every whisper, every rumor, every silence became a threat. Their power felt fragile. Their throne felt unsteady. And yet, The humans had not fired a single new weapon. They had not revealed their secrets. They had only refused, and that refusal had shaken the galaxy more than war ever could. The council chambers grew colder. The debates grew longer and the fear grew deeper. Even the high speaker, proud and unyielding, found himself waking in the night, his dreams filled with the human leader's calm eyes, eyes that did not bow, eyes that promised storms to come. He whispered to himself in the darkness, "If we cannot make them kneel, then perhaps one day it is we who will kneel." But he never dared to speak such words aloud. The galaxy stood at the edge of change, and in the silence between battles, the council began to realize the truth. Humanity was not simply another enemy. Humanity was a mirror, showing the galaxy that the council's power was not eternal, and fear, once planted, could never be silenced. The breaking point. The council could not hide their fear any longer. Their debates turned into endless storms of anger, but no answer came. Every path they chose led only to doubt. So in desperation, they made a choice. A secret strike was planned, not against a small colony this time, but against a human outpost that supplied 3 worlds. The plan was simple: crush the outpost, cut supply lines, and make the humans suffer. The council believed the galaxy would see the humans bleed, and the legend of Defiance would die. The fleet was vast, more than 100 warships, each carrying weapons forged to tear cities apart. They moved in silence, hidden by shadows, believing no one could see them, believing no one could stop them, but the humans were already waiting. When the first council ship broke into orbit, human defenses came alive, not with panic but with precision. The council expected chaos, but instead they found order. They expected fear, but instead they found calm. Human ships surged forward, smaller, lighter, but moving as if they shared one mind. Every council attack was answered, every maneuver broken. The sky burned with fire. On the council flagship, the commander shouted, "How do they know our moves before we make them?" His voice cracked. He could not understand. The humans fought as if they had been waiting for this exact battle. The truth was darker. The humans had studied the council for years. Every tactic, every weakness, every pattern of war. They knew the council better than the council knew itself. Within hours, the mighty fleet began to fall apart. Human forces struck not with overwhelming weapons, but with ruthless precision, one weak point after another, until the once proud fleet was scattered across the void. The survivors fled, carrying with them a truth they could not erase. The humans had crushed them again, and still they had not revealed their strongest weapons. Back in the council chamber, panic turned to chaos. The elders shouted over one another. Some demanded surrender, some demanded annihilation, but no one could deny the fear in their hearts. The high speaker's voice broke through the storm. "We have underestimated them again and again, and now the galaxy sees our weakness. If we do not act soon, the council itself will fall." But already cracks had formed. On distant worlds, oppressed species rose in rebellion. Their voices carried human words. "We will not kneel," they shouted as they tore down council banners. Their defiance spread like wildfire. The humans had not promised them weapons. The humans had not promised them freedom. But by refusing to kneel themselves, they gave others courage to rise. Inside the human fleet, the leader spoke to his commanders. "They struck us again, but this time they revealed more than we did. They showed the galaxy their desperation, and desperation is the sign of weakness." His words carried no pride, only warning. The second in command asked, "What will they do next?" The leader's eyes were cold. "They will break themselves trying to break us, and when they do, the galaxy will see the truth." The council could feel control slipping. They tried to silence rebellion, but their soldiers grew restless. Some even refused. Order's fear of humanity's unseen power haunted every mind. One counselor whispered during a late meeting, "It is not their ships, it is not their weapons, it is their silence. That silence is killing us more than any fleet." The high speaker slammed his staff, his voice filled with fury. "Then we will shatter that silence. We will force them to reveal what they hide. We will break them, no matter the cost." But even as he spoke, the chamber felt hollow. His words carried less power than before. The counselors looked into one another's eyes and saw doubt, deep and unending. The breaking point had come. The council was no longer feared as eternal. Its rule no longer seemed unshakable, and all because humanity had chosen to stand in every shadow of the galaxy. Whispers grew into voices, voices into chants, chants into fire, and always the same words returned. We will not kneel. The galaxy trembled, not because of weapons fired, but because of chains broken. Humanity's stand. The galaxy was changing, and the council could feel it slipping. Through their hands, rebellions were rising in hidden corners. Small species began to speak louder. Markets buzzed with human words, and chains that had held for centuries began to weaken. The humans did not move with fire or noise. They moved with silence, and that silence was louder than any war drum. They did not send armies to liberate worlds, they only spoke, and their words spread like storms across the stars. We will not kneel. Those 4 words became more dangerous than fleets. In the shadows of broken colonies, alien leaders reached out. Secret messages traveled through the dark. They asked the humans for guidance, for alliance, for hope. And the humans listened. Inside the human flagship, the leader stood with his commanders, his voice steady. They come to us because they see truth, not because of promises, not because of power. They come because we refused, and in our refusal they saw themselves. One officer asked, "Will we take them as allies?" The leader nodded slowly. "We will not rule them as the council did. We will walk beside them. We will build something new." And so it began. Species long crushed by the council joined the humans in secret. Their fleets were small, their worlds weak, but together they became something greater, not an empire, but a stand. The council saw this and trembled. Their spies reported whispers of unity. Their fleets reported growing unrest. Their governors reported rebellions they could not stop. The council chambers filled with fear. One elder shouted, "If we do not destroy the humans now, we will lose everything." Another answered with despair, "We already are." Meanwhile, the humans revealed only enough strength to keep fear alive. They showed glimpses of ships faster than expected, weapons sharper than seen, but never everything, always leaving mystery, always leaving doubt. The High Speaker gathered his council, his voice heavy. The galaxy is turning and the humans are its spark. If we do not break them soon, our throne will crumble. But his words no longer carried power. They carried desperation. Across the stars, small victories grew. A slave world rose and cast off council banners. A hidden colony declared its freedom. Rebels carved human symbols into the walls of cities. The council tried to erase them, but the fire spread faster. The humans did not command these revolts. They did not send orders, but their presence, their defiance, their silence gave strength to every voice. Inside the human fleet, the second in command asked quietly, "What if the council launches everything? Every ship, every weapon? What if they come with all their power?" The leader looked through the window at the endless stars. "Then we show them something they have never seen. Not destruction, not fear, but unity. They believe power is in ruling others, but true power is standing with others, and that is something they cannot understand." The galaxy began to see the difference. Where the council ruled with chains, the humans stood with hands open. Where the council demanded silence, the humans encouraged voices. Where the council spread fear, the humans spread defiance. And so the galaxy tilted slowly but surely in the council chambers. Paranoia grew. The elders saw enemies in every shadow. They argued until their voices cracked, but no answer came. No solution silenced the fear. The High Speaker whispered in the dark of night, "They are building something new. Something we cannot stop. Something stronger than us." He felt the weight of truth pressing on his chest. The humans, still calm, still silent, began to gather allies in the open, not hidden anymore. One by one, ships of different species joined their fleets. Their banners different, but their voices united. The council watched with dread. The power they thought eternal now looked fragile. Their empire now looked like glass, and humanity, once dismissed as reckless, now stood at the center of a storm. The galaxy had seen empires rise and fall, but never before had it seen a species refuse peace, refuse control, and still win. Not by weapons alone, but by spirit. Humanity's stand was not just against the Council, it was for the galaxy itself. And in the silence between battles, the Council began to understand a painful truth. The humans were not just another enemy. The humans were a beginning. The final shock. The Council called one last meeting. Their great chamber glowed as always, but the light no longer felt like power. It felt like desperation. The air was heavy with fear. The seats of the rulers seemed smaller, weaker, as if the galaxy itself had turned against them. The High Speaker stood in the center, his voice tired. We cannot stop them with fleets. We cannot silence them with fear. The humans must be made to submit, or we are finished. His words trembled as they left his mouth. A younger counselor whispered back, We tried to crush them. We failed. We tried to shame them. We failed. Every attempt has made them stronger. Perhaps the truth is not that they will kneel, but that we already are. His words sent a chill through the hall. At that moment, the doors opened, and the human delegation entered once more. The same 5 figures as before. No armies, no weapons, only calm steps and steady eyes. Their silence filled the chamber more than the shouts of the Council ever could. The High Speaker forced a smile, his voice sharp. Humans, once again we invite you. Sign the treaty, accept our law, and there will be peace. Without it, the galaxy burns. The human leader looked at him without fear, his voice low and steady. Peace built on chains is not peace. Peace built on silence is not peace. You do not seek peace, you seek control, and we will not be part of it. Gasps filled the hall. Some counselors shouted in anger. Others sat in stunned silence. The leader's words struck deeper than any weapon. The High Speaker raised his staff, his face twisted with fury. Then you bring war upon yourselves, and upon all who follow you. The human leader stepped forward, his eyes calm, his voice stronger. No, you bring war upon yourselves. You feared we would use our strongest weapons, but you do not see. We never needed them. We are not winning with fire. We are winning with freedom. And freedom spreads faster than fear. The chamber shook not from weapons, but from the weight of truth. Counselors looked at one another, and many could not meet each other's eyes. Across the galaxy, the Council's words no longer carried strength, but the words of humanity did. Planets declared independence, fleets abandoned their posts, banners of the Council were torn down, and in their place came symbols of freedom. The High Speaker slammed his staff in desperation. Silence them. Silence this madness. But even his own guards hesitated, their eyes filled with doubt, their loyalty slipping. The human leader turned to leave, but paused at the great doors. His final words echoed like thunder. We do not want your throne, we do not want your chains. We want a galaxy where no one kneels, not to us, not to you, not to anyone. And then the humans were gone, their footsteps fading into silence, a silence that shattered the Council more than war ever could. In the weeks that followed, rebellion spread like fire through dry grass. Entire systems broke away. Fleets refused to fight. The Council collapsed not from human weapons, but from its own fear, from the truth that could no longer be hidden. For the first time in history, the galaxy did not bow to the Council. Instead, it stood with humanity not as subjects, but as equals. On the human flagship, the leader looked at the stars and spoke softly. They thought power was in ruling, but true power is in standing. They thought weapons win wars, but spirit wins freedom, and freedom is stronger than fear. His commanders stood in silence, their eyes filled with the light of something greater than victory. The galaxy was never the same again. The Council had called humanity to kneel, but in refusing, humanity had forced the galaxy to rise.